Okay, so here I am in Photoshop, and the first thing I do is Command J on my Mac and just copy that layer to protect the bottom layer in its original form. So I've chosen a few textures that I like, but before I do that, I think I want to create a layer of more detail. I want to enhance detail in these areas and on the edges, like I was talking before when I was in Lightroom, how important edges are. So what I do is I have my layer, and I'm going to call it Detail, and I like to use Topaz Detail, and I'm going to create a layer of detail, and then I'm going to paint in the detail exactly in the areas that I want it. Keep the soft areas soft and the detailed areas detailed. So let it process, open up. And then we begin to have fun and we get to choose. Okay, so let's go into this and see what happens here. So I rarely like feature enhancement. It just looks like everything becomes diseased. I don't want that. Actually, one thing, I think I want to do something else before I do this, and it is another Topaz Denoise. Because I shot with a high ASA, there's a little bit of noise, not much, but I want to play around with this. Is an idea that I want to play around with, and what it does is it smooths out the noise. And so I'm going to choose one of these presets over here on the left and let it process and apply that first, and then I will put on my sharpness. And then you can hit the space key on and off. Wow, doesn't look like it did anything. So I'm going to undo that, and let's go to Raw Strongest, see if that does anything. Yes, that created some smoothness. I think I'm just too close in. Let's go to Fit. Process. There we go. Ooh, isn't that kind of fun? I like the smoothness. The smoothness kind of goes with the softness, off, on. And then if I go in and enhance some of these details, that could be really yummy. So I'm going to go, okay. Look what it did to the rose. Just created a silkiness. Love that. Silkiness is good. Well, I'm excited. I'm so glad I thought of that. That was in Topaz Detail. Oh no, that was in Topaz Denoise. Denoise. Now, after this gets applied, and I want to go ahead and apply it to the whole image. That's fine. And then I want to go in and put my detail on top of that, on my edges and in any areas where I want to enhance the texture. But I like making this metal table have a smoothiness to it, but I don't want to lose that delicious detail. And this is taking a while because this is a 16-bit file, and I always forget I need to change that. I don't need to do my processing in 16 bits. 8-bit will work fine, so as soon as this finishes, I'll switch over to 8-bit mode. And this here is some green moss that I had. We have an Our House furniture store in Kansas City, and I love to go in there for inspiration because, I mean, it's like a big giant store of still life everywhere. And they were using moss in some of their setups, so I was kind of inspired by that. Okay, so let's get back to Photoshop. Let's go image mode 8 bits. And there it changed over to 8 bits. So I'm going to hit Command S to save that work, and then I'm going to change this over to Denoise. I'm going to make another layer, detail, and let's go into Topaz Detail and create some yumminess, some goodness. And when I apply a preset to my photo, I'm going to be looking in the areas where I know I'm going to paint in detail, to the edges and highlights of the rose, maybe some of the moss, and to the wonderful scratches and texture on there. So let's go to Detail Medium, see what that does. So off, on. That's nice. Let's undo that and let's push it a little further. Let's just go to Detail Strong, see what that does. And let's go ahead and do Detail Medium. You see, I don't want to apply detail to the entire rose. I love that silkiness, but I do want it on the edges. And just looking to see where I think I want it. Don't want it, I just want it on the edges mainly. So I'm going to go OK with Detail Medium. And then, because I just want to paint it in where I want it, I'm going to hit Option and then see this mask, and that fills the mask with the detail. And all I have to do is get a brush and have that foreground color on white. And for something like this, I use my tablet with the pen tool, the pen that I can hold like a pencil, and I make sure, where am I? Here I am up there. I can't see. Okay. Don't tell me this isn't connected. I want to see. Uh-oh. Looks like my pen tool isn't connected. Let me pause for a moment and see if I can get that fixed. Okay, I'm back, and I couldn't figure out why my pen tablet doesn't seem to be connected, so I'm just going to have to use the old mouse. And so I'm going to make this smaller, and I'm going to start at 50%. And what I'm doing is I'm going to be painting in the detail that I just put in onto my edges. You can see a little bit of difference. Makes a difference. And I'm going to be using the bracket keys to change the size of my brush. And this is a little painstaking, if that's a word, painstaking. Time consuming, you have to be patient, and you know, it's just a love of art, of beauty, and wanting to take my photography to a higher level. And it takes time to do it now, but once it's done, I'm going to be so happy with it and so glad that I took that extra step. I mean, you can already see. I'm going to turn it off and on, and you can look at that edge and see what a difference it makes. And then when you zoom out, off, on, see, it just defines it so much better. So I'm going to keep doing this, and I will not make you sit through it. I will pause the video, and then I'll come back and see what else we can come up with. Okay, so I'm back now, and you can see if you look over here on the mask, the little dots are all the areas where I put in the sharpness. And I'm going to blow this up just a little bit, and you can choose if you want to put your eye in this area, or if you want to look down here. I'm going to click this on and off, and you can see how the sharpness really enhances those highlights and shadows and scratches. I even did some here on the moss, just a little bit. When you sharpen things, it also brings it more to the forefront, and which is where it's supposed to be, because that sharpness says that's the plane of focus. And so all this blurriness in the background was out of the depth of field, and so it makes sense to want to sharpen the things that are in the foreground that you want to kind of focus the viewer's eye on. So that's what I did with that.